It's always lovely when you come the full 360 from when you first met someone. I first met Miriam at a wellness event. God, quite a few years ago. We had a very brief chat and I've been following her and her husband's story ever since. When she talks, people listen and she is so knowledgeable. And I love the fact that she opened up today because you know me and this podcast, we like to know so much more about the people that give us so much information and advice, but she makes so much sense. So I'm really delighted to introduce today's guest, Miriam Hussey. Okay, it's September and it's that time of the year that we're trying to get everything together because Q4 is around the corner and the end of year is imminent. This is the time when we're starting to find all of our inventory, our invoices, when we really want to be getting on with looking after our business. And so this is where Revolut Business comes in. Revolut takes all the hassle out of all the point of sale. You can accept payments in the same place you're doing business banking, whether selling in person or online. They offer competitive and transparent pricing with prices starting from as low as 1% or 20 cents for online payments. And payments can be accepted by all major credit cards. So American Express, Visa, MasterCard, or the digital wallet. And guys, the best part is you get your money quickly. Within 24 hours of taking a payment, it's going to hit your bank account. So less stressful and super easy. Everything is linked up so you can organise and manage your cash flow with zero stress and get back to what really matters for you, which is running your business. Our exclusive offer for BeBelle listeners expires at the end of this month, so sign up now at www.revolut.com/RB/BeBelle to unlock a €200 bonus. So let Revolut Business look after the money so that you can start putting your time in to where is important, and that is running your business and growing it. The offer is valid to all new business customers in Ireland. Sign up before September 30th, 2025 and add money to your account to get your bonus. T's and C's apply. Miriam, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm
listen,
delighted to be here today.
An absolute pleasure. I'm so glad you found us. We have this conversation sometimes with people because we're on the 5th floor in Dundrum shopping centres and that lift does go up and down.
It sure did.
Bless you. But listen, thank you so much for joining us. I was actually, in the introduction, I was saying, I met you very briefly and it was pre-COVID, definitely. In Cork. I feel like it's the full circle now. Now I really get to have a chat with you because that day was very busy. So I'm so glad to have you. I've been watching yourself and your husband, obviously, for a long time. And so it's lovely now to sort of find out a little bit more about you.
Well, I'm excited to chat. So
Brilliant.
I'm an open book, so fire away.
Fabulous. We love that, lady. So let's start at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Where were you born?
Galway.
Okay,
yeah,
I didn't know that straight away.
Galway girl, yeah, born and bred in Galway and lived in Galway most of my life, as is my husband Jerry. But I love to travel and have always travelled. So came to Dublin for my college. I studied here in RCSI. And then after that, I did a lot of travelling around Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Bali, the whole lot. Came back to Galway to practice as a pharmacist for a long time. And then when I got married, me and Jerry moved back to Dublin. That's where we are now. And we lived in Portugal in between all of that as well. So.
Oh, I love Portugal.
Yeah.
I'm a real grafter at the moment. Yeah. Growing up in Galway, what was it like?
I loved it. Yeah. Galway's a great city. I grew up in County Galway, so about 25 minutes outside the city. But yeah, I loved it. And even I was just down there recently visiting my family and my sisters and all the cousins and bringing my kids. And there is something beautiful about Galway. Our home house is right on looking over the river as you go down to Mourns with the Weir. And it's a very special place. It's very, it's nearly like a soul sanctuary. It's very peaceful. Yeah. And then when you go into Galway city itself, it's a hive of activity and festivals, and this time of year
it's a real creative place, isn't it?
It is,
yeah. When I think of Galway, I think of a few things. I always think of creativity. I think of music. I think of seagulls.
Yeah. But I've gone 360 because I'm out near Glassfield, Dunleary now. Okay. It's full of seagulls again.
God, so absolutely crazy. And you said you went down to visit your siblings. How many siblings do you have?
I'm one of 5.
All girls or
no, so I have 2 brothers and I have 2 sisters.
And where'd you land?
I'm the youngest.
Oh, wow.
I'm the baby.
Okay. And is there big? I'm one of 5 as well. I'm number 2.
Wow.
But there's 21 years between the oldest and the youngest.
Oh, wow.
All
Okay.
girls.
Oh, wow.
So
That was interesting, I'd say.
yeah, kind of like 2 families. People often
Yeah.
ask you from the same parents because there's a big gap.
Wow. Okay.
But yes, we were. And so for you, I suppose, so was there much space between you or?
No, we're literally, stacks of stairs. There's 8 years between me and the eldest.
Okay.
Yeah. So my 2 brothers come first, then my sister, then my 2 sisters, and then me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you always feel like, I think of my baby sister, I was old enough to have probably had her, to be honest. Like, are you still treated like the baby of the family or?
I don't think so anymore. Now that we're all grown adults and have our own families and kids and that, I think we see each other more as adults and, siblings rather than one being older, one being younger.
Yeah.
And I felt like I naturally growing up was, not that I was older than my time, but I always felt like I was kind of like the peacekeeper in the family or the kind of, I don't know. So I never felt like I was the baby, even though I was. And I'm sure if you spoke to my siblings, they'll say, you were the baby, But growing up, I didn't have that feeling myself. I always felt that it was, just
and
one of the
Like
pack.
a crew? Like, because I was very close to one of my sisters. We were very similar in age. We would do a lot together as kids. We had very similar likes and we were very sporty. Like, what did you gravitate to?
We all gravitated towards sport.
Yeah.
We're a very sport-orientated family. GA is huge in our house. My dad is like avid, still obsessed with the GA and the matches. He's quite loud in his opinions.
Okay.
It's always great crack when you're sitting around watching the TV with my dad on a Sunday. But sport was always huge in our house, as was Irish dancing. So myself and my 2 sisters Irish danced a lot and played hockey and played piano and swam, and very active house.
Yes.
Yeah, we were very into activities and hobbies and sport. And I suppose I feel really blessed because my mum always said that she wanted to give us what she never had growing up. So in one way it was a blessing because we got to, dip our toe in so many things. And then in another way we were like, will you just leave us alone? We just don't want to go to any more classes,
No, absolutely.
But no, we did get a very good, I feel very blessed to have had the growing up and the adventures that I had.
And so at what point, you have, like, I loved school, it was fun, but I was really sporty as well. I was in every team. Like, when did you decide the route that you wanted to take?
Well, it's very interesting. And I actually mention it in my book. When I was about 14, I was in secondary school. My mom actually handed me Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life.
Okay.
And that was it's just, you just seeds get planted into your subconscious mind, whether you know it or not. And that was a really powerful, transformative seed that was planted because I started to read it and it really opened my mind, I suppose, into the world of our internal world, looking after our health, our well-being, our thoughts, how they're connected to the body, and something greater, a higher sense of spirituality. And as I went through secondary school, I was always very into health and well-being, sport. I remember the girls in school used to call me the health freak or whatever because I used to love eating like really healthy food. And I just naturally gravitated always towards that. And when I did my leaving cert, I had optometry down, I had pharmacy down, but it was always, I had dietitian down. It was always, that was the field that I gravitated towards. So I got my first choice, thankfully, which was pharmacy. And that led me into the world of looking at health, looking at our bodies, looking at, I suppose, what happens when they break down. And then from that, fast forward 10 years later, working as a pharmacist for 10 years in community, starting to explore beyond the pill for every ill, looking beyond, just treating the symptom. Because as I explored so much during those 10 years, I could see the dots, been joined by people coming in on one tablet, then needing another one and another one, but yet not changing anything in their lifestyle from month to month. And seeing, if a stressful situation happened or there was a breakdown in a relationship or a grief or a loss, and how the body would start to get sick as a result of these traumas or withheld emotions that weren't being released or expressed. And then subsequently just kind of going to maybe a tablet for a quick fix. And I just started to explore this. And this brought me back 360 to the book that my mom had given me, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, which looks at, positive affirmations and looking at how we can take more control back over our lives. And it's not to say I'm anti-medicine in any way, shape or form. We absolutely need it. It has a time and a place. It saves lives. But I really feel after gone through the journey that I've been on from studying pharmacy into the world of practicing, then working with clients in health coaching and all of that, how everything is so connected, and that if we're not looking at the bigger picture, if we're not looking at an integrative approach where you look at the mind, the body and the soul, well, then what we're doing is we're band-aiding. We're not actually getting to the root cause of what might be causing the lack of ease in the first place, which is dis-ease.
Wow. You make it sound so simple. Do you know what I mean? When you lay it out like that. But like for some people it isn't. And like, I'll be honest, I'm not a pill person. I do normally believe, like, if it's very rare. I've got a bit of a headache at the moment because I'm on a sugar detox. I want to get sugar back out of and actually I said this the other day to a friend, I don't know how sugar crept back into my diet. I was really good. I gave up for a year. I've never felt so good, so clear in my head, no brain fog. And it just crept back in over time. So the last 2 days I've had a bit of a headache because I've been very conscious not to go anywhere near any type of sugar. But 2 litres of water later, I feel that I'm okay. So when I do take a tablet, it really affects me. Somebody gave me a sleeping tablet recently coming back from Boston, and I've never tried anything like that. And I slept for nearly 20 hours. It was mental. I had no jet lag, by the way, but I slept the whole flight, then managed to wake up to get to the car in Shannon. Thank God I wasn't driving. From Shannon to Cork, slept all the way, and then walked up the stairs to my bed and slept for another 8 hours.
Wow. Yeah. So when your body is, when you're not used to putting a lot of chemicals in, and your body is quite clean, and then your nervous system and everything that goes on gets dysregulated, gets tipped off nearly so much easier. And that's why even with the sugar, by the way, well done, because it is so addictive and it's everywhere. But the biggest driver is, what I suppose leads us to crave or have sugar is when we get stressed. And you're saying about it creeping back in. It has that sneaky way of coming back in because stress is so everywhere in our lives right now. And even though we may not feel stressed, it's because it's become so normal that obviously it's not common, but it's become normal. And we kind of get busier, and then we're plugged into the phone, and there's notifications, and there's this, and there's emails, and there's WhatsApps, and there's stuff to do. And then we don't realize it, but our body is now pumping out more stress hormones. And when we pump out more stress hormones, the body say, oh, she's in threat. There's a bit of a danger there. Fight or flight get kicked off, sympathetic side of the nervous system. And what does that want? It wants sugar. It wants glucose because it's the quickest form of energy. Because if the body feels that you're in threat, you're in fight or flight, it needs you to run the hell away from that imaginary bear or flee from or fight it. So in order to run or fight, you need energy, you need glucose. So it doesn't care that, you're going to eat crap, sugary food or whatever. It just wants you to be safe. So you crave. And that's why people intellectually may know, I shouldn't go for the scone now at 11 o'clock or the bar of chocolate or whatever, but they just literally can't stop it. It's like it's like you're just like a compulsion towards it because the body is in that flight state or fight state, and it just wants sugar, glucose because it needs it to survive.
So I had somebody on recently chatting on the pod we were talking about GLP-1 medication, and I had tried a bit of this medication in a microdose element, and it changed my mind. I didn't lose any weight, by the way, but it changed my mind. And actually those cravings that I may have and the grabbing of the bar to jump in the car to drive to the next appointment, I had zero interest in at all. And I thought that was mad, like crazy, what it can do for the brain effect.
Yeah.
Do you think things like that will help people in the future in that sort of micro dosing element?
Well, I'm going to be very honest and say that I really feel like, as I said, I'm not anti-medicine.
Yes.
But the first line for me is we need to address the root cause of what is causing someone to potentially be overweight or have excess weight in the first place. Obesity, diabetes, all of these things are chronic diseases now that are being, escalating out of control in our modern world. And we have to ask ourselves, why is that happening? And it's like anything, the issue is never the issue. So people are now wanting to take tablets to reduce weight without actually stopping, pausing and actually saying, lifting the hood here and analysing and kind of going a little bit deeper to know, why is this happening in the first place? Why have I put on the weight in the first place?
Yeah.
And as I said, the issue is never the issue. It's generally, it can come from a couple of different reasons. One being emotional, so suppressed trauma, suppressed feelings that we don't want to feel, so that we suppress, we numb. And I talk about this actually a lot in my book, the whole area of emotional eating, because it's something that I have personal experience with. And it can be devastating, and it can be like absolutely crippling, because your mind can just totally get so consumed with what you're eating, calories, what you're not eating, dieting, this diet culture, this lack, limitation, deprivation, starvation, and then this complete 360 into overeating and binging. And I absolutely know that, because I did that for a while, until I actually pressed pause and said, no more, I need to look at this. And I found the most amazing psychodynamic psychotherapist, and I worked with her for years, and I still check in with her. And we excavated what was going on in my life to get to the root cause of why I was suppressing, why I was numbing out, why I was trying to escape feelings, and doing that by trying to ram food down my throat. Okay. Because when you do that, you get this, it's like something gets triggered within you. Maybe you have, and it could be something as simple as you have a shitty day. Your boss said something to you, you have a fight with a friend, your boyfriend, whatever, and you get triggered. So then you go to something that will soothe that pain, whatever has been unearthed within you. So you open the fridge, you get whatever, the chocolate, the ice cream, whatever it is, and you use that as the crutch. So it's a coping mechanism. And while you're in that state, it's wonderful. And it's like, this is a relief from the world. This is a relief from the pain.
Yes.
But then that gives you that false bliss high, that kind of like, yay, this is great. You don't have to feel it. Because when you suppress, when you add a lot of food into the gut, you actually start to cut off the signaling from your gut to your brain. So we have this gut-brain axis where we have all these signals being sent from the gut to the brain. And this is why food affects mood. And when you put all of this sugar in there, you cut off your feelings to your inner self. That's why we say, what's your gut feeling on something?
Yeah.
But if your gut is so rammed with processed toxic food, you can't actually feel what's actually going on there, because it's just been, it's like a rubbish bin that's just been packed.
Paint. Yeah.
Exactly. So then you get this false high and this bliss, and then the cycle goes to what I call the food hangover. And it's that hangover effect. And that can be both physically and emotionally. Physically, it's like, Christmas Day and you have that food coma.
Yes.
You're lying on the couch. You're really full. You're just sleepy. You're zonked out. You're just lethargic. You have the physical feelings of it. You might even get like sweaty, And then you have that emotional hangover, which is, I call, I did a lot of work when I was traveling in Australia. One of them I came across was the feeling of fats, FATS. So fear.
Yeah.
And from that leads anger, tension, and shame. And when you start to overeat, then you get this kickback, this guilt, this shame. What have I done? Oh my God, this is terrible. And then you're kicked back right into the cycle again. and you go again. So how do we break this cycle? And for me, there's many ways, but you have to firstly become a detective of the soul and find out what actually is out of alignment in my life that's causing me to suppress, to numb, to escape, to flee. Because really what it is, it's you overeat, you emotionally eat, or it can be anything. It can be alcohol, it can be whatever it is. You do it in order to kind of flee or to run when the going gets tough.
So you don't think people can genetically be just made in a way?
Epigenetics is the biggest thing we got to look at. So when we were looking at pharmacy, and before my time, thankfully it's changed now, science and Western medicine would say your genes are your destiny. Okay, so these are your genes, this is your destiny, this is your fate, you've been handed these, you can't do anything about that. But now we know through so much science, an incredible doctor and biologist, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who was here last year, and beautiful, amazing guy. We actually got to bring him to our house for dinner and speak with him. And he has done so much research on epigenetics. Epi meaning above the gene. Epigenetic means, yes, you're handed your genes. So it's like I hand you a loaded gun.
Yes.
So this is what you've been handed down. But what's going to pull the trigger on that gun is your lifestyle. So what you do every single day in terms of the style that you're living your life in. So how stressed are you? What's your sleep like? Are you moving? Are you exercising? What's your relationships like with yourself and others? You know, what do you do to ignite your soul? What brings you alive? Are you living a life that's in alignment with your core values, your passions, your meanings? Or are you in a job that you hate, in a relationship that's toxic? Because when you are, your soul is being squeezed and suppressed and repressed. And when your soul is suppressed and repressed, it's almost like signals. I talk about this in the book. It's like 3 circles.
Yeah.
The outer circle is the physical body.
Okay.
The next one is the mind, which houses all your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. And the inner circle is the soul. And this is the pillar I feel that is the most important, but is the least addressed or talked about in our modern world of wellness. We tend to look at the external one, the physical one the most, and we treat that. It's because what we see. Here's a tablet, here's a pill, here's a medication, or we work at the physical body through acupuncture and massage and all of that, which is really important.
Yeah.
But if we go to the inner circle, which is the soul, as I was mentioned, if that is repressed, suppressed, depressed, your soul is who you are. It's your inner spark of light. It's all of your dreams. It houses your truths. It is your core values. It's what lights you up. It's what makes you different to everybody else. It's your characteristics. And if that is not being allowed to be expressed, if you're living a life that you think you should be living, but you're living a life that's not actually what you feel is right for you, well, then that soul is going to get like squashed and suppressed. That then sends a distress signal out to the next circle, which is the mind. The mind then becomes agitated, anxious, frustrated, irritated. And when we have these negative or these, I don't like to say negative because every thought and feeling is important, but when we have these less serving or these lower vibrational frequency thoughts, they then send a signal out to the next circle, which is the body, into your nervous system. When your nervous system is dysregulated or out of balance, then we get the showing up of all of these symptoms or ailments or diseases in the actual body.
Okay.
So, back to your question.
Yes.
Epigenetics is your lifestyle. So are you living a life that's in alignment with your core values? If you're not, these are going to be sending distress signals. You're not really going to be happy. You're not really going to be at ease. You're not really going to be at peace. And if you're not at peace, if you're not at ease, if you're not happy, if some of your primary foods, which are they're like 4 main pillars, careers, relationships, physical activity, and spirituality, if they're not activated, if they're not being fulfilled, it's like the 4 tires on your car. It's like if you have a puncture, but you say, you know what, I'm going to go up to the petrol station and put the best diesel or petrol in, but I'm not going to look at the bust out tire, but I'll put the best food in my body. How far along the road do you think you'll get? You won't get very far. So these primary foods are these soulful essences of how you live your life. if they're not fulfilled, no amount of food can fill you up if you're not fulfilled from the inside out.
Mm.
And that's what's happening. And if your lifestyle is too full of stress or trauma or suppressed trauma that you haven't released, you will likely go to a coping mechanism to try and just band-aid and not meet that until you're ready.
I'm sitting here going, there must be something wrong with me. No, do you know what I mean? Though, yeah, I completely get that. As someone though, like I never put on weight. I've always been big. So I was like, I remember saying to my mum, I've never seen a baby picture of me. Like, what? And we didn't have a camera. And then somebody found a picture and I was like, where am I? I thought it was one of those porcelain Buddhas. And I was like, Jesus Christ, why was I so big? She said, you were just always big. You ate the same as your sister. I was always super active. Still am a Pilates instructor, still super active. Don't eat processed food, never have. I trained as a chef. But I've just always held weight. Now, obviously, I'm 53. And definitely in the last 3 years, it has just crept. I'm at my heaviest that I've been for a very long time. And everybody's like, oh, but you're going through, perimenopausal, so the hormones don't help and stuff. But look, I probably have, I found out recently I probably do have some suppressed trauma, but I don't feel unhappy. I'm a very happy person. I'm very fulfilled in my work and my life and whatever, but I've always held weight, whether I was dancing on the stage at Wimbledon Theatre or running on track or whatever.
So here's the thing. Are you happy with your weight?
I am happy with myself.
So that's not what I asked you.
Yeah, no, I don't ever like to feel unhealthy.
Yeah.
So at the weight I am at the moment, like I said to somebody the other day, I'm really comfortable and super happy with my weight as a size 18. I feel extremely confident there.
Yeah.
I've been there most of my life and I feel attractive there. I feel like I can do anything. This extra couple of stone that has gone on in the last 3 years with menopause and everything else, I don't feel as healthy as I want to feel. Okay. And feeling healthy, and like I always say to people, look at the whites of my eyes. I eat well, I drink loads of water, I'm active, and I love feeling great. I haven't had an alcoholic drink this year until I went for a meal last night. Do you know what I mean? So there's certain things I'll say to myself, let's try this and let's see how that's making you feel. And I've really enjoyed being alcohol free and I've loved driving everywhere. And I said to someone last night, but no one's noticed that I haven't had a drink. And they said, but you've got the personality where people wouldn't notice because you're quite confident anyway. Yes. But I just can't find an answer at the moment for myself.
And one thing that I would say is, as we were speaking there, I mentioned, about the soul part. When I sit across from you, I feel like your soul is very alive. Yeah. Your soul is vibrant. Like there is a beautiful energy from you. And when somebody walks into the room, it's their energy you feel, irrespective of their size, their shape, their color. You know when someone walks into the room, if they light up a room or not.
Yes.
So that's the soul part I'm talking about. When the soul is alive, you feel alive. You light up.
Yeah.
But that's why I asked you, are you happy with your weight? Because if you're happy with your weight, then you're going to
be fine.
You're going to feel happy. Like I would always say to people, imagine if you've like a set of twins.
Yes.
And twin A is like really rigid on their diet and have everything perfect, but maybe they're in a relationship that's not very good or they're stressed off their head, but their diet is perfect and they rigidly work out and blah, blah, blah. And then the other twin maybe doesn't work out that much. She maybe has the odd glass of wine, but she's in a loving marriage and she's lots of fun in her life and she goes on adventures and her soul is just really happy. Which one is the healthier?
Yeah.
You'd have to say the twin B. So it doesn't matter. It's not about being a size X or Y. It's how you feel in your body and if you feel healthy in that. But going back to what you mentioned, I would say, you kind of said, I've always been that way. I'd question that narrative because that's something you've downloaded subconsciously, potentially. 100%. And then when you have that downloading and you have that subconscious seed planted, no matter what you eat or not eat or drink or not drink or move or not move, you'll probably never lose weight because downloaded in your subconscious program is, I don't lose weight, or I'm always this weight, or I'm always been big, or whatever.
Agree more actually, because I do when I eat something, I think this will make me fat. This will
Before you even look at it,
I don't give it any respect. Food, actually, it's fuel.
Yeah.
And something I've tried to teach myself is to really enjoy food, and take time. We went for beautiful, they used to call it nouveau cuisine when I was growing up, but lovely meals, and actually taking time to taste the food, and really, because I love cooking, But I think sometimes for people it's really hard to find the piece, find the wheel that's got the puncture.
Yes. Well, if you sit down with a blank piece of paper and give yourself time and space and unplug from the busyness of this modern, fast-paced world, and actually go by a stream or go by the ocean or walk up a mountain and bring a pen and paper and just start to breathe and to meditate and to journal, it's amazing what comes out.
Yes.
Or ask yourself, have a couple of prompted questions. What does light me up? What in my life is going well? What is my heart actually longing for? What is my soul calling me to do? A question I always like to ask myself is, I believe in God. I'm very, I have I have deep faith. And I always say, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And just let that, and then just let that energy flow through you and see what is unearthed within you. Because I do feel when we get quiet, when we allow stillness and silence in our lives, the answers are there. There is so much wisdom within ourselves that we're trying to always look to somebody else to give us the answers. But actually, when we stop and go inward, like nobody has lived in your body, only you.
Yeah.
Nobody lives in your mind, only you. So you're actually the best person to know what's a right yes for you and what's a no for you. But the biggest thing I would be saying for you is to challenge that subconscious program, to challenge that internal narrative that you've been feeding yourself for so many years. And that's the crux. And that's where when I went to therapy, that's where I got to the crux of what's that internal story? Why do I not feel good enough? What am I trying to do? And when you unearth that and you unpack that and you get to the root of what did you download maybe between the ages of 0 and 7? Consciously, subconsciously, maybe you heard something, maybe it was a teacher, maybe it was a parent, maybe it was a peer, a sibling, and then you locked in a story that I'm overweight and that's just the way I am.
And I know exactly what I remember my dad saying. He picked up my sister and swung her around and then looked at me and said, Jesus, I'm going to pick you up, I'm going to break my back. So, and I remember that. And I always say to my sisters, I have a lot of young nieces, and I'm always like, be really careful what you say there. Hold your mouth now, because I know you're joking.
I know, but it goes in.
I really remember that. That's mental. That's so mad. But and we do that. I said to someone the other day, I probably thought about my weight and been conscious of what I eat since I was 7. So you think about that, that's mental. That's 46 years.
There you go. And you see, from the ages of 0 to 7, we're in a brainwave state called theta brainwave, which really is download. It's like hypnosis. So that's why between the ages of 0 and 7, kids learn everything so quickly. They learn all the languages, they learn everything. It's like down. And that's why we always say they're sponges. They're literally absorbing and downloading everything. And that's theta brainwave, which is download hypnosis. So what we download, what we hear, what we see, our environment with which we grow up between those 0 to 7 years lays the foundations of how we see ourselves and the world for the rest of our lives. So did you grow up in a loving, safe environment? Did you grow up, was it a bit hostile? Was it the environment, was the parents arguing? Was it whatever was going on, what you downloaded in terms of yourself and your worth and your image, it gets locked in. Until as an adult, we have the conscious awareness to go back and reshift and reframe those subconscious programs, which we can do, thankfully, through rewiring and neuroplasticity. But it takes the work, and that's where you have to do the work. And it's, looking at the way you talk to yourself, reframing everything, self-compassion, and then, things like your affirmations, your visualizations, hypnosis, meditations, yoga nidras, everything to try and really get in there so that you can start to rewire and create new pathways, tell yourself a new story, create a new dialogue. And I guarantee you, without actually shifting too much in your lifestyle, it will naturally gravitate back. You will gravitate back towards your normal weight and size without, people often say, the weight just fell off when I wasn't even trying to do anything. It's because they came back into a new mindset or harmony with themselves, or they let something go or took, and also incorporating a lot of breath work into the body, because the body will never feel safe to lose weight unless it feels safe to lose weight. Because if it feels like it's threat, it may feel like it's in a famine. I'll never get food again. I need to store. So you have to allow the body to get into the parasympathetic side of the nervous system, which is through breathwork focused practices, like yoga and meditation and qigong and all of those things. And then allowing that nervous system to recalibrate and come back into harmony and cohesion. That with, as I mentioned, that's why we have to look at all the 3 pillars. It's not just the outer one where you exercise and your food. We have to go looking at the mind and thoughts and those feelings and unlocking that suppressed trauma that might be in there. And then also looking at how do we light up the soul? What brings us joy?
Wow. And I've got a lot of work to do. No, but I think we all do. But
we all do.
Actually,
Nobody's
and the breakdown
perfect.
of it is actually really important, I think.
Yeah.
And it's so, like, I'm an oxygen advantage instructor. I really believe in breath. I love movement. I do believe it heals. But sometimes I do, I'm instructing or teaching. Sometimes I'm like, hold on now a second. You need this too. Get on the mat. Get on the mat. It's like the painter's house is never painted. We have to look after us. Where would you say is a good place for somebody that's new to this and wants to make changes? I know you're saying you're starting with the soul, but what can they do? Just something to get them started.
Yeah, so I like to do a thing, even myself and Jerry call it a CODE, which is a code, calendar of daily events. And it's as simple as having a little just notepad beside your bed. And you can do it at nighttime to set you up for the next day, or else when you wake in the morning doing it. And just writing down one thing that you want to do today for your mind, one thing for your body, and one thing for your soul. And nothing that's going to overwhelm you or going to take up too much time or cause stress, because then you're just being counterproductive. So like one thing for the mind might be, even before you get out of bed, you might even just take 2 minutes to do some deep breathing or to do a little visualization. So close your eyes, put your hands on your heart, take a deep breath, and just visualize how you want to see yourself in your day. Like, how do you want to see yourself showing up? What's the energy you want to be in the day? Do you want to be the calm woman, the strong woman, the productive woman, the whatever woman that you want to be? And visualize how that kind of woman would enter into her day. What's the clothes she's going to wear? How's she going to eat? How fast does she eat? How slow does she eat? What does she eat? Where does she eat? Is she eating on the go, or is she being mindful, not scrolling, etc.? Visualizing her conversations. Visualize herself looking in the mirror, looking into her eyes and saying something kind to herself. So that's just something you might do for the mind. Or affirmations, something for the body might be, I'm just going to, drink my warm water and lemon, go for my walk around the block at lunchtime, park that car a little bit further away, get your extra steps in, make a green juice, whatever it is. Just one thing I'm going to do today for my mind. And then what's one thing I'm going to do today for my soul? And that might be, I'm going to meet up with a friend and have a good laugh. Or I might have a bath tonight, and just kind of anything that takes the stress away, and just kind of where you go, go for a walk, go for a swim in the sea, whatever it is, just something that brings you joy and lights you up. So something as simple as that can be very impactful, because you're doing something for each element, yet you're doing it small. It's not scary. It's not overwhelming. Or the other place I really like to tell people to start is mirror work.
Okay. And
you'd be amazed the amount of women that say they can't look at themselves in the mirror. And they can't, or they say, I haven't looked at myself in the mirror in years. So when I hear that, I always say to people, that's okay. There's nothing to be shameful about that. I actually say to people, I'm actually delighted to hear that, because now we've hit a sweet spot. Now we've actually hit a raw nerve. So when you start to do it, it will be very transformative for you.
Mm.
And it gives people hope. And it can be something as simple as go to your bathroom mirror in the morning, stamp your 2 feet on the ground. Like we go and we brush our teeth every morning. We wash our hair, we have a shower, we wash our face. But how often do we wash our mind?
Yes.
We wash the external, what people can see. But what about washing the internal? Because that impacts the external.
And when you do that work, it's silent?
So it's very easy. You go to the mirror, put your 2 feet on the ground. You can take just a deep breath, and then you just look into your eyes, windows of the soul.
Yeah.
And start by saying something, anything, one nice, loving, kind thing to yourself. So a lot of people can't start with the physical, and that's okay. So I would say, look in the mirror and say, I'm a loving mom. I'm a kind daughter. I'm a beautiful friend. I'm a loyal wife. Anything, I have beautiful eyes. I have beautiful hair. I'm a great friend. Start with something that you can say or that resonates with you. And then keep saying it and keep saying it. And every time you pass a mirror, so when you go into the bathroom at work, say it. Obviously, if you say it out louder, it has more power. But obviously, that's obviously not always the case.
In the office, check me out.
Exactly. So when you couple your mirror work with affirmations, it's very powerful. And you keep saying it until you start to rewire your brain, because your subconscious mind is actually quite stupid. It just does what you feed it.
Yeah.
So if you tell yourself every day, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm useless, I'm not enough, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that, your subconscious mind is just going to say, okay, and just keep giving you situations that replicate that. So we just need to change the narrative, plant new seeds, and keep telling ourselves a different story. So I am loving, I am kind. And if you find that even hard, say, I am willing to.
Okay, that's a good idea.
I am willing to love myself. I am willing to start afresh. I am willing to be kind to myself today. I'm willing to nourish my body today. I'm willing to be respectful and kind to what I say and do with my body today, or just whatever comes to you.
But I think that is a great place to start.
It is, and it sounds so simple, but it's very challenging for people, but it is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
It does work.
I can imagine your house being very tranquil.
Not always, I have 2 small kids, so you can imagine it's it can be chaotic as well.
Yes.
And that's the one thing that, I always want to share with people is that I'm not perfect, because nobody is.
Yeah.
And I have good days and I have bad days, and I have light and dark, and I can lose the plot with the kids just as any mom can. But what I do have, what I will put my hand on my heart and say is I have the ability to catch myself. And I think that's the best gift we can give ourselves, is that when you do snap or you do lose it or you do get stressed or whatever, that you have the ability to catch yourself so the refractory phase gets smaller so you can repair. So I love that phrase, fracture and repair. And if you can narrow the gap between the fracture and the repair, well, then that's all. That's just building better relationships and helping to heal. And we're human and we're normal. And I think if we didn't have the ups and the downs and the goods and the bads and the highs and the lows, you wouldn't be normal. And I'm very much very real, very pragmatic, very authentic in that, I share the good and the bad. And I don't pretend to be something that I'm not.
Yeah, I think it's so important, isn't it?
Like you can't be the dentist with the rotten teeth, and I'd be very honest in that. And I have my struggles and I've had my struggles, and I know I'll have them again in the future because that's life.
Yes.
But it's having the tools to catch yourself and pull yourself up from the weeds and have, the ability to come back. I think that's what builds strength and resilience.
100%. And your new book is out. So
yes.
What's it called and what should we expect in it?
Oh, thank you. So this has been a passion project of mine for a long time. I've always wanted to write a book. So it's called Light Up, and
Brilliant.
It's energize your body, awaken your mind, and supercharge your soul.
Okay. We all need that, Miriam.
And it's a book that, as I mentioned, it's not preachy. It's not in any way like pointing the finger, do this, don't do that. It's very much gives very practical tips, advice and tools, but also meets people where they're at and allows people, I think, a very reflective inward journey that they can go on themselves. There's a lot of nice journaling prompts in there that you can actually, as I said, go to the mountain, go to the ocean and ask those deep questions of yourself without judgment, without punishment, just with openness and grace and compassion, Because my mission, I feel, is to help people light up and to help people find their own light again. Because I feel like, especially women, we sometimes suppress, we dim, we shy away. We kind of grow up in a culture where it's like, who do you think you are?
Yeah. Who's your one?
Yeah, who's your one? Yeah, exactly. And it's just allowing people, or giving people, I suppose, the permission to find that light again, but also looking at it from an integrated mind, body and soul approach, and looking at those 3 circles, and how we can light up in all of those 3 areas.
I love that. We need to do more of it. I was speaking on another pod, actually, that a couple of months ago I did a post about how amazing I was and put it on LinkedIn. And then a week later, I put up the post and asked people how they felt about that post and encouraged women to do a post. And people have been doing this I'm amazing post
Love it.
because I was determined this year to speak much nicer to myself. Mm-hmm. And actually, when you're good at something, you should know you're good at it, and because a lot of us work for a very long time to achieve that.
Yes. I love that.
I love the idea of having some tools to help people get there.
Yes, and I think we all need help. We all need support. And in the book, I share very openly and honestly about my own, needing of help and support, as I mentioned earlier, with the emotional eating, and also with becoming a new mom to 2 kids, how depleted and, like just broken I felt in those early years of the fog and no sleep. And that unearths a lot of those subconscious programs that we often hold within ourselves. They can kind of be like really highlighted. And I think when you're a mom, you get rebirthed into a whole new way of being. You get rebirthed again yourself. So I share a lot of very personal, but also obviously the professional, learnings and lessons that I have learnt on my journey.
Amazing. And how do people work with you?
So we do a lot of retreats, we do a lot of events, and we have a soul space community as well, which we've had for years, which is online, where we get together once, twice a month, and we have these online Zoom sessions. It's really beautiful, and there's coaching in there, and then we take them through the practical essence of a different theme or topic every month. So there's movement, there's yoga, there's meditation, there's journaling, there's peer coaching and all of that. So I work a lot that way. I used to do a lot of one-to-ones, but at the moment with the 2 kids, I've pulled back.
You have to find another way.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And create space, I suppose, for the book and the creativity of writing that. That's been my baby for the last year. So I've loved the journey. I must say, I love writing. I love speaking. I love what I'm doing. And I love just trying to spread the message so that people can light up.
And I work with my husband as well, actually. Like, how do you find that?
It has its pros and its cons, doesn't it?
It really does.
It really does. You have to be so mindful that it doesn't creep into every conversation, or at the dinner table or in the car journey. Or
I would get told off for that a lot. Yeah. And my husband would go, "We're not working. Shut up." And I'd be like, "Oh, but I could just ask you this."
I know. And it is hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do. I must say I find that hard as well, to find that balance. But we're getting better at it now after a few years in.
No, absolutely. Oh, listen, we're going to finish with a lovely question from our last guest. So you open that and just, I'll get it to the page.
Dun, 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 dun.
Fabulous.
Okay, so the question is, what was the greatest lesson life taught you? That's a good one. The greatest lesson that life has taught me, I think it's to be myself. To be myself unapologetically, and to come home to what my heart desires and what my soul is longing for. For too long, I was trying to be all things to all people and try and fit in with every group and tribe. And so I think it's being okay in my own skin now. And if people like me, great. If people don't, that's okay too.
Yeah, it's none of your business.
It's none of your business, you know. Let them, as Mel Robbins would say. But, that has been the biggest learning and the most freeing and liberating, actually, is that not everybody's going to like you. And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And when you know you're doing it from a heartful place and it's coming from your truth and you're doing it from a place of love, well then it'll resonate with those who need it to resonate. And if it doesn't with others, that's okay. We can't all like the same perfume and the same ice cream and everything. So different strokes for different folks. So I think it's for me, it's coming home to authenticity, living my truth, and being unapologetically me.
Amazing. We all need to do it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I absolutely loved that.
And thank you for having me so much.
Can't wait to read the book. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, and thank you for joining me for this week's episode of BeBelle Podcast. If you have any thoughts, questions, or feedback for us, we always love for you to get involved. And you can find us on Instagram at BeBelle_podcast. Don't forget, though, that if you want to watch these episodes, you can see them all on my YouTube channel, Sian Horn. And don't forget to follow and subscribe. The more people that follow and subscribe, the better it is for the podcast, the more that we can improve future and going forward. So, with that being said, thank you so much for following BeBelle, and I hope you enjoy these next episodes.